Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Liftoff. Today, I'm joined by Kelly O'Keefe with Brand Federation. He's also the host of Beers and Brands, and today we're going to be diving into a little bit more of the brands throughout Richmond, and a little bit more about Kelly's just resume. Kelly,
Great to meet you, Nate, and I'm looking forward to talking today.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you coming down and just sharing your expertise with us. I mean, we were talking even before this, and it sounds like you've just got a lot of rich history with branding and marketing and all things brands.
It's easy to be really broad in terms of experience if you only do one thing, which is branding. So it's really the only thing I know, but I know it well.
Absolutely. If you would, for maybe some of our audience members who don't know you or haven't heard of Brand Federation or Kelly O'Keefe for that matter, or Beers and Brands, all big names, share a little bit about, I guess, your history and then how you got to the point of where you are with Brand Federation.
Sure. Well, I studied design in New York and started off in a career in advertising and marketing and design early on. Then I moved to Virginia for family. I've stayed here in Richmond ever since. It's just a great place. And I have built and grown a couple of companies in the branding and advertising world. I've also been honored to be a part of the brand center at VCU. The VCU Brand Center is the top ranked graduate advertising program in the country for branding and advertising. I was able to teach there about 14 years, helped to run it for part of that time, and also a founding board member, helping Diane Cook-Tench, who's a marvel, who founded the organization to get it started and off the ground. So, the Brand Center is a very happy place for me. But what I focus on is helping organizations to steer their brands in directions that are going to be beneficial to the organization and add value and grow the company.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, in your experience teaching at the Brand Center, what were some of the main things you really tried to drive home with the students? If you could pick one, maybe two of those things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if you ask the students, what did Professor O'Keefe focus on? It's really the fact that branding is not just about communications, and it's so often misunderstood that way. Branding is a slogan, it's a tagline, it's an advertising, it's a logo, but that's not actually all of what branding is. What drives branding is everything from the internal passions that drive the organization, a really clear sense of who we are, what convictions we're galvanized around, the internal culture that you're building so that people are engaged in the right activities, and then ultimately the experience you're delivering to the consumer, whoever your consumer is. All of those things have as much or more impact on how your brand is perceived than the marketing and communications. But fortunately, marketing communications help.
Right.
But they only help when those four things are aligned. So if you have a great story to tell and you can make promises to the consumer in your story that you can actually deliver with the experience, well, now we're talking about a very strong brand. And so the focus of my time at the Brand Center was to help students understand that brands are bigger than advertising. It's part of why we changed the name. Some of your listeners may know that it was originally the VCU Ad Center.
Oh, okay.
And we really wanted to talk about the whole world of branding and everything that influences what makes a great brand.
Yeah.
I'd say the other thing that's important is just that we talked a lot about at the Brand Center is to use your skills responsibly. To build a brand for a company, to engage consumers, to change people's minds, that's a powerful skill. And you don't want to use it to tell them falsehoods. You don't want to use it to build organizations that maybe shouldn't be built. So there's responsibility with any talent.
So diving into that a little more, how do you go about building a brand outside of traditional marketing tactics, if you will?
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to do is understand where that organization has the greatest potential to thrive. And a lot of organizations aren't sure about that, right? They do a lot of things. They do them well. Some of them they do better than others. They might get a little spread thin and they lose a sense of who we really are. We saw that recently with, Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
They forgot who they were.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, guys, we're going to be something we're not. And all of their customers said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's not how we see you. That's not how we want to see you. And so that's a mistake that is surprisingly common in this world. I mean, we've seen brand after brand after brand lose its center, lose its sense of who it is. Wells Fargo screwed up with creating false accounts for people. Volkswagen falsified emission standards. You know, Uber ousted a CEO. Papa John's ousted a CEO, all because people lost a sense of the focus that should drive it. So you've got to start with understanding what does this brand have the potential to be, and how do we stay focused on that?
Yeah.
And then how do we make sure our employees know it? And are we paying enough attention to the actual experience we're delivering to the consumer?
That's good. That's a full funnel approach. It's great. And I just love on the Cracker Barrel example. I follow you on LinkedIn. I pay attention to a lot of the stuff you put out, and you always call out a brand when it does make a bad fail, like Cracker Barrel, or when it's, I think it was Bud Light a while ago, just like these massive fails. And you call out just not only where they failed, but how brands can avoid that mistake and learn from it. I think we, as just everybody in America who does marketing or branding, needs to see and recognize those examples and be able to learn from them. I think it's very important to have somebody like you
Absolutely.
observing. Yeah.
You know, the truth is that how we know a lot about medicine is through autopsies. I mean, you diagnose problems and say, how did this happen? And
Yeah.
we do the same thing in branding. We look at failures. I spent a lot of time looking at companies like Sears and asking, how did they go from being the world's largest retailer to barely in business, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what time it is today. They're either in business or not in business. That's how close to death they are. And so, and it's kind of shocking, but it's happened in so many cases where we've seen leading brands, including right here in our backyard, Circuit City, the world's largest consumer
Yeah.
electronics retailer for a while, gone in 2008, 2009. And I think understanding where brands may have lost their way will help us to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future.
Do you think that's more of a messaging issue to their customers, or is that more of a failure to adapt from Circuit City example?
Yeah, that's a complicated one because they had external factors. Certainly, the collapse of the economy in 2008
Sure.
was sort of the last straw. But as with almost anything like that, there's a comorbidity that's necessary. So they were struggling even before that. I think they had lost a sense of focus. They'd launched CarMax, which is an amazing company, really one of our best companies here in Richmond, Virginia. Great people doing great work.
Yeah.
They launched Divix, which was a less amazing platform that failed in the marketplace. But I think they took their eye off the ball on how to make the store experience great. And Best Buy did a better job. And you take that kind of weakness and you hit a bump in the road like 2008 and it's all over.
Yeah.
And so we can't determine whether or not there are going to be bumps on the road. A lot of people think we might be in a bubble now with a potential recession somewhere in the future. And we know there always will be one, right?
Yeah.
But what you can do is make sure your brand and your company is strong going into that so that you'll come out on the other side just fine.
Absolutely. And you mentioned prior, just starting the interview here, you work with businesses from startup phase all the way to national phase and international phase, even if I got that correct.
Yeah. Doing a lot of international work lately.
So my question on that is, at what stage should a business really take a serious approach to their branding and really dive into it?
Yeah. I mean, the easy answer would be day one, but that's actually not necessarily the truth, because when you're building a startup, you have to kind of adapt a lot in the early months and years of that startup to figure things out. You put together
Sure.
a business plan and the business plan looks great. Here's how things are going to happen. The business plan always shows that revenue is going to go like this, right?
Yes, it's always a J curve.
It's always just a beautiful curve.
Those
There are
are
no
popular.
bumps in that curve.
Yeah.
That's not how startups work. They're tough. And you try the plan, and parts of the plan work and parts of the plan don't work. Some months are good, some months are bad, and you have to adjust and readjust. That's not a great time to lock down your brand because you're still learning what this business wants to be. And the interesting thing about startups, I once told my partner, Matt Williams, who used to run the Martin Agency, another great brand in town, is that a startup is it's a little bit like having a baby. I'm a father of 4.
Yeah.
You have what you think that baby is going to be like, but the baby has a say in what they're going to be like.
Yeah.
And they have a mind of their own. And so a small business, a startup is sort of the same. You have what you think it's going to be like when you start it, but then as you work through it, you find out, oh, it kind of wants to be over here a little bit more. So I would say for startup entrepreneurs, allow it to be a little fluid for the first 2-3 years. But here's where the problem happens. A lot of people who are great CEOs moving and shifting and adapting and innovating and changing to find a way for that business to thrive. Once they find the way for that business to thrive, they keep changing it. And it's like, wait, slow down now. That's the time when you should stop and say, what can our brand be the best at? And it doesn't mean don't innovate, but it means really understanding where your mastery is. I don't think anyone's done this better than Apple in modern history.
Sure.
They certainly have innovated. They've certainly changed their product line. They used to be just a computer company. It was in the name, Apple Computer. Now they're better known for phones and watches and TV and tablets and other devices, and they still make great computers. But we don't think they've lost their way because the focus that has stayed the same since day one is powerful, simple, elegant design that is more user-friendly than anything else in the marketplace, created through a fusion of software and hardware. And those things are still unique to only Apple. Microsoft only makes software and it runs on other people's hardware. Dell only makes hardware and other people's software run it. And Google, kind of the same thing. They're more on the software side. Their products, like Android, can run on other people's. Apple believes when you put those two things together, you can make a more elegant computer. So that focus on design, that focus on fusion of software and hardware, and that focus on making it very easy for the customers to use that product is still a hallmark of Apple. And as long as they take that into every new category they go into, it doesn't bother us to see them go into new categories.
Do you think, so we talked about Startup Virginia a little bit prior to this, and I've talked to a lot of different founders, and I think most of them don't come out of the gate with a game plan like simplified design with technology because it sounds too vague and it may not hold water in front of venture capitalists or whoever they're going to get funding, whether they're crowdfunding or whatever it may be. So what advice would you give to them? Should they drill into a niche early and then just be ready to pivot? Or should they go in with a more broad definition of what their mission is?
I would say you need to have a sense of a belief of what you're building. So it's okay to have a niche in your plan, right? To say, this is what we're trying to accomplish and we're going to laser in on that. But in those early years, just be receptive to change. And one of the challenges that happens in a business plan for a startup is that you build this plan and then you plan for that to happen. And when it doesn't happen, you don't know what to do. I always tell entrepreneurs working on business plans, go ahead and build the plan, but understand that something is going to go wrong and plan for it so that you're looking for what is not working in that plan. You can't guess what it's going to be, but if you're aware and you're open to it, you'll say, wait a minute, this is priced too high, or we thought the market was millennials. In fact, it's more likely to be appealing to boomers. You know, there's a brand that I got to work with, built up, sold here in Virginia that was focused on technology. And most of their customers were older and they wanted to try and get younger customers to buy their products and services. And they hired me to help them with their brand. When I analyzed the data, I saw that actually the most profitable segment of the market was boomers and seniors, not younger people. So if they had continued to try and get those young consumers they weren't getting, they would have killed the company. Instead, what they did was lean into boomers and seniors, and the company thrived. And that's what I mean about it's okay to have the plan, but be receptive to what the market is telling you.
Right.
Because there may be bigger opportunities than you envisioned, just a little bit of a half step away from what's in your plan.
That's good. That's really good. The other thing, kind of switching gears here a little bit,
Sure.
and again, we talked about this prior. It seems like we had most of the good conversation prior to starting, but we know we're going back to it. Is AI and brands. Now, I personally, I work in television. I see a lot of ads. That's my job
Yeah.
is to see ads. And I've seen duplicate commercials, like down to the script of saying the exact same thing from different businesses. That is a disaster in my mind. I'm curious as to your take on AI integration into branding, scripting, brand voice, etc.
Yeah, AI is like any technology. There's good and bad, right? If I pull out my iPhone and I talk about how useful this smartphone is, you'd agree with me. And if I also told you that, in the hands of a teenager, that early adoption of smartphone technology can actually be problematic, you'd probably also agree with that.
Sure.
And that's the thing about all technology. The internet got a good side, internet's got a bad side. Technology mirrors the people that use it, and unfortunately, we're not universally good
Right.
as a species.
Right.
AI is the same. There are good and bad uses of AI, even in branding. So we find it to be incredibly helpful in processing huge amounts of data in research and being able to help us to extract insights into the consumer's mindset that could be useful. And I think that's a very promising use of AI. But when it comes to the creative product,
Sure.
to writing ads, to designing things, to making imagery, I think AI can be really challenging. It doesn't have the same intuition that humans have. Maybe someday it will. I don't know. I'm not a prognosticator about the future. But as of today, what we're seeing is really bad work coming out of AI that doesn't hold up to human standards. And it may be easier to make that work, but
quicker.
winning in advertising, winning in branding has never been about what's the easiest course.
Right.
It's about who better understands the human truths that drive people's decision making so that they can open minds and change minds through their advertising. And to do that really well, I think it still takes human intuition. It takes well-honed creativity. And I would hate to see a world where our most, capable creative minds are sidelined
Yeah.
because AI is doing it because it's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I'm so glad to finally hear that from one of the experts in Richmond. So just getting down to some tangibles of what it looks like to knock AI out of the picture on the creative side. Would you recommend AI builds a website or helps build a website in the initial stage for the graphic side of it? Not necessarily the coding side, but the graphic side of it.
Yeah, I would say I think it could be helpful in the process of building websites and other things. I'm old enough to remember when we first had Macs and we first had Adobe tools to allow us to create digital advertising and other things. And people then worried, oh my gosh, the designers are going to be out of work because these tools, you can design stuff. And then we realized, yeah, you can design stuff with the digital tools, but if you don't have somebody who knows what to do, it's still ugly, it's still bad.
Yeah.
And that's why even though those tools made it much easier to produce movies, to produce digital work, they did not take away the need for somebody who is controlling those tools to have taste, understanding of human behavior, and conceptual ability. All of those things still important. So I would say with AI, if it can be a work saver, there's nothing wrong with using it
Sure.
to help you save work. But if you're counting on it to actually tell you what that website should be, it's not going to do a very good job of that.
I agree. Another thing is, I know you're a big fan of Super Bowl commercials.
Oh, yes.
And doing reviews of them. Do you have any predictions on whether or not we'll see an AI commercial in this upcoming Super Bowl?
Guarantee you we will see at least one AI generated commercial. on this year's Super Bowl. One thing we know about the Super Bowl ads is they trend follow. So whatever is the latest trend, everybody's leaning into. AI couldn't be hotter right now. It's driving the stock market, it's driving the economy, and it's going to drive Super Bowl as well. We're definitely going to see at least one AI generated ad. Will it be as good as the other ads? I guess that remains to be seen. My bet would be on the creators who've been doing this for a long time.
I feel like it's such a risky move to put an AI on that level of criticism or open it up to that level of criticism with your brand right next to it. But
It's tricky. I mean, a Super Bowl ad, as you know, is
expensive.
going to be minimum investment of $10 million. It's a lot of money. And what we know is that only 5 to 10% of consumer advertising run on the Super Bowl has recall with consumers the next day. That's right. You spent $10 million on Sunday night, and Monday morning, only 5 to 10% of advertisers actually got their money's worth for it. So
Wow.
you gotta build great messaging to make Super Bowl work. And I think it works well. It is one of the few places that we still have on television where everyone watches live and almost all of the country and beyond our country is watching at the same time. So if you need the whole world to be paying attention to your message, that is the place to do it. It's got to be good. I wouldn't be throwing $10 million on a roulette wheel and hoping my AI got it right.
No, I would not either. Do you have any speculations on what the brand will be that puts out an AI commercial?
Probably an AI brand. So we might see.
It's fair bet.
Yeah, Chat GPT or one of the AI brands or somebody who is adjacent to that, like a Microsoft might want to be the one who did the first all AI Super Bowl ad. However, we've seen in the past where somebody wanted to be the first to do a certain Super Bowl ad, and then on the same night, somebody else was also the first to do it. And that certainly diminishes the impact of it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Oh, I'm excited to see the Super Bowl this year. I've since coming to television, I've been more in tune with like what commercials are happening and watching each one. And a lot of people just go with, I'm rooting for the commercials now is what we joke about here in the station.
It's kind of funny because it's the only event that I know of where people really are as into the commercials as they are into the game.
100%. And this past year, I noticed this was also one of your LinkedIn notes is we had a lot of Richmond Super Bowl appearances or as far as the commercials go. Am I right on that?
Yes, we absolutely did. Richmond is an epicenter for creativity, and it's grown ever since I've been here, and it's grown because of great firms like the Martin Agency and Arts and Letters and great design firms. It's really a terrifically growing category, and certainly the Brand Center has contributed to that. And so we have seen more and more Richmond-based Super Bowl ads, either created in Richmond or created for companies that are based in Richmond. I think we'll continue to see that trend grow.
That's exciting. That's very exciting. So taking it back to Brand Federation, you guys are huge, international, national, even local. What are your goals with Brand Federation? Sorry, I'm really switching conversation, but what are your goals as CEO of Brand Federation?
Yeah, well, I've got a few goals. We have some beliefs that drive the way that we've built this company. One is we care a lot about the product and making sure that the product is beneficial to companies that are at points of trajectory change. In other words, they need to reach new audiences. They need to get growth driven up. They need to reconcile mergers or acquisitions that they've made to present one clear voice to the consumer. And we look at those inflection points and try and make an impact on them. So first, I care a lot about the product. Second, we have a model that we have built by design to be beneficial to the people who work with us. So we believe that people do their best work when they live their best lives. And for that reason, we don't force them all to be in our office in Richmond. One of my partners lives in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. She's having a good time down there. Ryan Chandler Dovis, she's an outstanding leader for our company, but we don't care where she lives. I've got other people in Amsterdam, in California, in
Wow.
anywhere. And we believe that sort of liberating talent to live the life they want to live has helped us because, again, they do their best work when they're living their best life. And then I think a third thing is that we believe that we can stay involved with our clients in ways that help them make good decisions all along the way, because it's not just about getting the brand right at a particular moment.
Right.
It's about making sure they have good counsel. So we're continuing to grow. Our goals are let's keep growing this. We set a sight of doing more international work a couple of years ago, and in the past 2 months, I've been in Mexico, I've been in Copenhagen, I've been in Mumbai, and we're really excited about working on some really exciting international brands.
That's really exciting. I want to take it back to the working from home. People do their best work when they're living their best lives. Push back on that a little bit. How do you combat that with some of the other CEOs, founders who argue that would be ineffective to teamwork or would delay teamwork, or what do you say to them?
Yeah, it's a fair point to say that it's easier to generate a strong team sense of bonding in one office. I'll give them that point. But doing easy things isn't what expanding a marketplace is about. It's not what startups are about. It's about doing things that are difficult that might be worth doing. And so what we found is we put a lot of time and effort into creating culture that crosses borders. And what's great about that is, so we have a lot of cultural approaches to how we build our team and how our sense of connection, talking on a regular basis, daily basis, across channels that give us that sense that we're all part of the same team. And I think the result of that has not only been that we've built cultures that are inclusive of all of our people, no matter where they are, and that they're getting mentored, they're getting developed. They can talk about, what happened on Saturday night, personal issue, or how their mom is doing after a stay in the hospital. All of that stuff is still part of our world. But since our clients are all over the place, we also know how to build a culture that connects with them.
Yeah.
And they're always going to be all over the place. So if you're not good at digital culture in this world, you're not going to have the kind of connections that you want to have with your clients and your customers.
That's good. That's good. It's a great response to that. And I ask everybody who comes on the show, I always ask them for book recommendations. Do you have any authors that you put forward?
Well, I've been reading a lot of Scott Galloway lately, and you probably are familiar with his podcast. He's a sharp guy, and he's insightful about trends in the marketplace and where they're taking us. So
I've not heard of him. I can pull up a browser actually and try to find him. But
yeah,
go ahead.
you got to check him out.
Scott Galloway.
He is a great author. And then lately, I have been trying to spend as much time as possible reading great works by people like F. Scott Fitzgerald and
Oh yeah.
Truman Capote and other great writers. And I find in some ways I am as enriched as a business person reading great literature and understanding how humans behaved at different times and in different parts of our past as I learned from a business book. So yeah, it's kind of a contrast between Scott Galloway and F. Scott Fitzgerald, but I like to take it all in.
Do you think one day you'll write a book on brands?
Excuse me?
Do you think one day you'll write a book on brands? Is that coming?
Yes, yes, I do. I'm in the midst of one on the conviction that drives brands now, and taking my time with it, but it's something that I'm excited to continue to work on and to get out there.
Oh, well, we look forward to having that released. I would like a signed
Yeah, you heard
copy.
it here first.
Yeah, we heard it here first. That's exciting. The last thing, just before we cut, is who would you like to thank that helped you get to where you are today?
That's a great question. I don't think any of us get to where we are without luck along the way. And I had some amazing mentors, from early childhood on. I had a high school teacher, Robert Rathman. He's not with us anymore. What a saint that man was, who who believed in my talent and encouraged me to pursue it with vigor. I wouldn't have gone to school in New York for design without Robert Rathbun. I've had people like Harry Jacobs. Harry was one of the partners in the Martin Agency, along with other great people like John Adams and Mike Hughes. But Harry, when I was at a very early stage in my career and opening my first ad agency, grabbed me for coffee, told me he was impressed with what I was doing, which was amazing, for this guy who's so storied to say that, and mentored me ever since. He's incredible. And I have to mention people like my partners, Ryan Chandler Dovis, is one of the sharpest minds in research and strategy in our category. She's a Brand Center alumni, so I had the honor of teaching her. Then she went to New York to work at some great firms before coming to work for us. Matt Williams, who used to run the Martin Agency, now another partner, has inspired me for over 20 years. We've known each other for a long time. We've collaborated on a bunch of projects, and we have fun every day, the three of us working together along with other people. So
That's awesome.
lots of great people that I can look at who deserve credit for anything that I've been able to accomplish.
Awesome. And if people want to find out more about you, hear more from you, where should they go?
Absolutely. They should go to brandfederation.com and check out the information that we'd like to share there.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Kelly. It's been a blast.
It's been great, Nate. I always enjoy talking about what I do and about Virginia and Richmond. It's a city that continues to excite me.
Awesome. Thank you.